No food riots, no stock market, no cash in the ATM. When the economy crashes for real, no one's coming to save you. What you own right now will decide how you survive. And trust me, it's not just about gold or crypto anymore. Today, I'm revealing 8 brutally practical items that'll matter way more than money once everything falls apart, and if you wait, you're already behind. In this video, we're cutting through the fluff. No conspiracy, no panic. Just 8 absolutely essential items you should have on hand before the financial system buckles. Whether it's inflation, currency collapse, or full-blown supply failure, these are the survival tools that actually keep you fed, protected, and in control when everything else turns worthless. Number 1. Bulk staples, rice, beans, and grains. Most people walk past a 20-pound bag of rice in the grocery store without a second thought. But when the economy tanks, when food inflation hits 300%, and grocery store shelves sit empty, that bag suddenly becomes more valuable than cash. Rice, dried beans, oats, lentils. These aren't just poor man's food. These are collapse-proof calories. We're talking food that can last 25 to 30 years if stored correctly in mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. And the best part? You probably already have a few pounds of it sitting in your pantry right now, unused and underappreciated. Now here's the part that most amateur preppers get dead wrong. They focus on buying expensive freeze-dried meals or fancy MREs while ignoring the raw caloric foundation their body actually needs to function. When economic collapse hits and supply chains lock up, those bulk staples become your lifeline, not just for survival, but for barter too. A few pounds of rice or beans could literally be traded for medicine, batteries, or fuel when the system fails. During the Venezuelan crisis, families were trading handfuls of rice for basic toiletries and medicine. That wasn't a zombie movie, it was real life. And if it can happen there, it can happen anywhere. You don't want to be the guy with gold coins but no calories. The biggest mistake people make is thinking just having rice and beans is enough. But proper prepping means proper storage. If you're still storing your food in those flimsy supermarket bags, you're one humid summer away from a bug infestation. That's why serious preppers seal their grains in airtight containers with desiccants or oxygen absorbers. Some even add bay leaves to repel insects naturally. Here's a pro tip. Stock grains with variety. White rice has epic shelf life, but oats give fiber, and lentils cook fast when fuel is limited. Diversity isn't just about flavor, it's about strategy. In economic collapse, bulk staples aren't just food. They're currency. They're in control. They're peace of mind in a world where panic becomes the norm. Skip them now, and you'll regret it more than any financial loss. Number 2. Manual tools for food and cooking. When the power's out, the stores are closed, and your electric kitchen turns into a museum manual, tools go from old school to life-saving. Think about it. How will you open that stockpile of canned goods if your fancy electric opener doesn't work? How do you grind grains when your food processor's dead weight? Most people prepping for economic collapse completely overlook this. They focus on stockpiling food, but forget the tools that make it edible. Manual can openers, grain mills, hand grinders, and non-electric coffee presses are no longer grandma's gadgets. They become your new best friends. Let's start with the simplest one, the manual can opener. In a blackout, this $5 tool can mean the difference between feeding your family or staring at a can of soup like it's locked treasure. And don't settle for the dollar store version that breaks the first time you use it. Go for a heavy-duty stainless steel model. Trust me, you'll thank yourself later. Now let's talk about grinding. If you're storing wheat berries or corn kernels, excellent long-term staples, you'll need a way to turn them into flour or meal. Electric mills are useless without power. But a quality hand-crank grain mill can turn raw food into usable calories with zero electricity. And yes, it takes some elbow grease, but that's the price of off-grid freedom. Even coffee lovers aren't off the hook. That morning caffeine fix doesn't come easy when there's no Keurig in sight. A manual coffee grinder and a pour-over filter setup let you maintain sanity and morale, 2 things in short supply during economic collapse. One of the biggest mistakes new preppers make is assuming they'll figure it out when the time comes. But collapse doesn't wait for you to Google how to use a hand mill. Practice now. Cook 1 full meal a week using only manual tools. Test your gear under stress. Find out what works before it's a crisis. These tools are more than kitchen accessories. They're what transforms stored food into survival meals. And during collapse, anyone with extra tools becomes a community asset or a powerful trader. Manual tools might seem basic now, But when the grid dies and your food needs to be cooked, crushed, or cracked, they're priceless. Number 3, basic first aid supplies. You've got food, you've got water, maybe even weapons. But here's a harsh truth. No one talks about one infected cut can take you out faster than starvation in a collapse scenario. That's why a solid first aid kit isn't just gear, it's a survival priority. Let's be clear, the average household first aid kit is a joke. A couple of Band-Aids, some expired antiseptic cream, and maybe a roll of gauze. That's not going to cut it when real injury strikes during an economic meltdown. When hospitals are overwhelmed, pharmacies are looted, and calling 911 gets you nothing but silence, you're the medic now. So what should a real prepper's first aid setup include? Think layers. Start with trauma basics. Pressure bandages, tourniquets, antiseptic wipes, medical gloves, and a CPR mask. Then add functionality burn cream, electrolyte packets, cold compresses, tweezers, and splints. Bonus points if you've got antibiotic ointments, antihistamines, anti-diarrheal meds, and a stash of over-the-counter painkillers. What most people ignore until it's too late is chronic care. If you or a family member needs daily meds, get a rotation system going. Ask your doctor for extended prescriptions where possible. Economic collapse doesn't pause for refills. And here's a mistake almost everyone makes, assuming they'll just figure it out when the time comes. That's dangerous thinking. A first aid kit is only as good as your ability to use it. Take a basic first aid course. Download offline medical manuals. Print out CPR and wound care guides. Because when it hits the fan, Google won't load. Don't underestimate the barter value either. In a world without pharmacies, even simple meds like ibuprofen, cough syrup, or allergy relief will be worth their weight in silver. A good medical stash isn't just protection, it's power. Want a pro move? Vacuum seal smaller first aid packs and stash them in your bug-out bag, car, and pantry. In crisis situations, quick access matters more than having the world's biggest kit buried in your basement. In economic collapse, medical care becomes a luxury. Your ability to treat injuries, prevent infection, and manage pain could literally decide who makes it and who doesn't. Ignore it now, and you may not get a second chance. Number 4, multi-fuel cooking gear. Here's something you realize only when the gas stops flowing and the power goes out. Your kitchen becomes a useless room filled with dead appliances. That's when having a multi-fuel cooking system stops being a camping luxury and becomes your daily lifeline. Ask yourself, could you boil water, cook rice, or heat up soup without electricity or gas right now? If your answer is no, then you're not ready for economic collapse. Most people make the mistake of relying on just one backup system, maybe a small butane stove or some charcoal bags in the garage. But what happens when you run out of that fuel, or the weather makes your system useless? That's why experienced preppers don't rely on a single fuel source, they build in flexibility. Let's talk options. Rocket stoves are compact, low smoke, high-efficiency systems that burn twigs, pine cones, or scrap wood fuel you can find almost anywhere. They're nearly indestructible and ideal for long-term fuel-scarce environments. No propane, no electricity, just fire and function. Butane stoves? Great for fast, indoor cooking in early collapse stages. Lightweight, easy to use, and perfect for apartments or urban setups. But the catch is, once your canisters run out, they're just metal boxes, so don't make them your only plan. Now here's where smart preppers step up. Solar ovens. Completely silent, require zero fuel, and work even in partial sunlight. You won't be making gourmet meals, but you can cook rice, beans, even bake bread using nothing but sunshine. In long-term collapse, that's power without risk or smoke trail. What people forget is that cooking isn't just about food, it's about water safety too. You'll need a way to boil contaminated water or rehydrate dry goods. A cold MRE might keep you alive, but hot meals provide comfort, morale, and better digestion, critical when stress is already breaking your body down. Mistake alert. Many people buy these cooking tools and never test them. They assume they'll figure it out when needed. Bad idea. Use them now. Cook one meal a week off-grid. Learn how wind, weather, and fuel quality affect your gear. Collapse isn't the time for trial and error. Another key point. These tools are barter gold. In long-term collapse, anyone with the ability to provide hot food becomes a community hub, a trade center, and a problem solver. Bottom line, if you can't safely cook a meal without a plug or a gas line, your survival plan has a hole in it, and it's a big one. Number 5. Manual can opener. Imagine this, you've got shelves stacked with canned food. Chili, beans, tuna, soup, even peaches. But the power's out, your electric gadgets are dead, and you're staring at a steel wall of calories you can't even access. That's the cold slap of reality when you forget something as basic as a manual can opener. It sounds almost laughable, until it's not. Most people prepping for collapse load up on canned food because it's cheap, long-lasting, and calorie-dense. But they completely overlook one small, crucial tool: how to open them without power. A heavy-duty manual can opener isn't a kitchen accessory in collapse, it's a survival gateway. Cheap $2 openers from discount stores? Useless. Their gears jam, the handles snap, and the blades dull after 5 cans. In a grid-down scenario, you don't want to be fighting your tools. You want something that just works every time. That means stainless steel, smooth turning, rust-resistant, and built like a tank. Now, here's a twist. A manual can opener does more than open food. You can use the blade for emergency puncturing. In worst-case scenarios, some models double as bottle openers or even crude screwdrivers. In collapse, multifunction equals survival. And don't forget, injuries from broken lids, jagged openings, or improper tools can lead to infections. You think tetanus is bad now? Try treating it without antibiotics or a working hospital. Pro tip: keep 2 openers minimum, one in your kitchen, one in your bug-out bag. You'll lose one, break one, or need to barter one. Trust me, in a few weeks of collapse, a working can opener becomes barter gold, just like matches or medicine. People will trade serious value to eat what they already own. If you're relying on cans, and most preppers are, this item is non-negotiable. It's simple, it's small, but forget it, and you'll be holding 200 pounds of food with no way to access it. That's not prepping. That's failing in advance. Number 6. Manual coffee grinder. When you think about survival, coffee probably isn't the first thing that comes to mind. But here's the twist. In long-term collapse, comfort becomes currency, and coffee might be the most underrated luxury that keeps people sane. But without a reliable way to grind it, all those precious beans turn into dead weight. That's where a manual hand-crank coffee grinder becomes pure prepping genius. Most folks stock instant coffee or pre-ground blends, but they miss one crucial detail: shelf life. Ground coffee goes stale fast. Within weeks, its flavor degrades. Within months, it tastes like dirt. But whole beans? Store them properly, and they'll last for years, holding both flavor and trade value. And here's the catch: you can't do anything with whole beans unless you can grind them. Sure, you might say, I'll use a hammer or crush them with a rock. Go ahead, try that once. You'll end up with inconsistent grounds, a lot of waste, and probably a cracked bowl or dented countertop. In collapse, precision and repeatability matter. You want a tool that does the job smoothly, quietly, and without power. Enter the manual coffee grinder. Compact, durable, and designed for daily use, these hand-crank devices require no electricity and deliver perfect grinds every time. You control the coarseness, so whether it's French press or cowboy pot, you get exactly what you need. But here's where it gets real: barter value. In a world where people are cold, hungry, and stressed, coffee becomes emotional survival. A hot cup can lift morale, create trade opportunities, and even buy favors. And if you're the guy who can grind beans when no one else can, you just became the neighborhood coffee dealer. Don't think it's just about flavor. Caffeine is a functional drug. It helps with fatigue, alertness, even suppressing hunger. That makes it performance-enhancing gear in high-stress survival zones. Soldiers, truckers, and first responders know this. Smart preppers do too. Best part? A manual grinder is silent. Unlike noisy electric ones, you can grind early morning or late night without alerting the whole neighborhood. In high-risk collapse environments, stealth equals safety. Want to take it next level? Pair your grinder with vacuum-sealed coffee beans in Mylar bags. Rotate your stock. Get used to using it weekly, so you're not learning under pressure. Ignore it now and you might wake up to a world without coffee and no way to cope. But prep it right and you've got peace, trade power, and one of the last luxuries standing. Number 7. Manual food processor. In the middle of chaos, prepping isn't just about having food, it's about making it usable. Picture this. You've got bags of vegetables, raw grains, or nuts, but no power, no blender, no microwave, no fancy kitchen gadgets. That's when the humble manual food processor becomes one of the smartest items in your survival kit. Most preppers focus on what to eat: canned goods, dry rice, beans, oats, and raw produce. But very few think about how to prepare it once the grid is down. Ever tried chopping carrots, onions, or nuts with a dull knife on a shaky surface for every single meal? You'll waste time, energy, and possibly injure yourself, all while producing inconsistent results. Enter the hand crank or pull cord food processor. These compact, non-electric devices let you chop, dice, grind, or puree ingredients with zero power and minimal effort. No batteries, no heat, no noise. Just mechanical action. Some models even come with different blades and attachments for versatility. But here's what makes them truly powerful: speed, consistency, and safety. You can prep a stew base, grind oats into flour, shred raw carrots for a makeshift salad, or even make nut butters and baby food, all with one tool. When nutrition, morale, and food stretching matter most, this tool becomes your kitchen's MVP. Let's also talk about silence. Unlike battery-powered gadgets, manual processors are quiet. That matters in a collapse. You don't want to advertise your food prep routines to every neighbor within earshot. Noise attracts, silence protects. From a storage perspective, these tools are compact, lightweight, and durable. They fit in any cupboard, bug-out bag, or off-grid camp setup. No sharp exposed parts, no cords, no heating elements to break down. Just a sturdy design that keeps going as long as your hands do. In long-term scenarios, this one tool multiplies the utility of your entire food stash. Want to grind dehydrated tomatoes into powder? Done. Want to chop soaked beans for patties? Easy. Want to stretch out canned meats into spreads or soups? You've got the gear. And yes, in barter scenarios, this becomes a high-value service. Help someone process raw goods in exchange for fuel, firewood, or medicine. That's survival economics 101. Bottom line, when food becomes a resource that must last weeks or months, preparation becomes just as critical as storage. A manual food processor is quiet, efficient, and collapses modern kitchen convenience into a survival-friendly form. This isn't a luxury, it's food control in your hands. Number 8. Emergency manual grinder. In a post-collapse world, when electricity disappears and convenience dies with it, most people won't miss Netflix, they'll miss flavor. They'll miss the warmth of a real cup of coffee, the comfort of seasoned food, and the practicality of making raw grains edible. That's where an emergency manual grinder earns its spot as a survival essential, and one of the most overlooked. This tool isn't just for caffeine addicts. If your prepper stash includes green coffee beans, raw wheat, dry corn, or bulk whole spices, and it should then without a way to grind them, they're as good as useless. Imagine trying to chew raw wheat. Or boiling whole coffee beans. Not happening. But with a manual grinder, you can convert raw, inedible bulk goods into usable, efficient, and tasty survival food. The beauty lies in simplicity. A hand crank grinder uses ceramic or steel burrs to create adjustable textures from coarse grits to fine powders without a single watt of electricity. It's compact enough to stash in a go bag, strong enough to last decades, and silent enough to keep your routines private when noise becomes dangerous. Now let's talk utility. Grind oats into flour. Crush dried herbs for medical use. Pulverize beans into rough meal for soup. You can even grind dehydrated vegetables into soup-based powder or baby food. Every turn of the crank makes your food more digestible, cook faster, and go further exactly what you need when fuel, time, and calories are limited. But there's another level here most preppers miss. Barter power. You might stock grains. Someone else might have meat or meds. They can't grind, you can. That small tool becomes a trade multiplier, a service people need when their convenience gear fails. Durability is also key. These grinders don't break easily. No circuitry, no battery acid. Just metal burrs and leverage. Rinse, wipe, repeat. And unlike electric alternatives, they don't alert every neighbor within 200 feet that you've got gear running. Survival isn't just about stockpiling. It's about usability. And flavor, morale, nutrition, they all start with food prep. A grinder may not look tactical, but when it turns your raw storage into meals, people would trade anything, for it becomes a weapon of resilience. So, if you've got raw food in your pantry, a manual grinder isn't optional. It's mandatory. Let's face it, when collapse hits, it won't give you a countdown. You won't get a warning on the news. No sirens, no alerts. One day it's all normal, the next. Shelves are empty, systems are down, and reality hits harder than any headline ever could. And in that moment, you'll either reach for the gear you wisely stacked or stare at what you thought would help and realize it was all just dead weight. The items we just covered aren't glamorous. They don't blink, beep, or need a charger, but that's exactly why they matter. They're low-tech lifelines, silent solutions, forgotten tools that turn chaos into control. This is your wake-up call, my friend. Every single item in your prep could mean the difference between being self-reliant or being someone else's liability. So go back, look around, and ask yourself, do I have the tools to survive when comfort ends? If the answer is not yet, then now's your time. Hit that subscribe button right now, because every week we drop brutal, fluff-free survival gear breakdowns made for real people in the real world. No hype, no panic, just raw prep that works. And let me know in the comments which item surprised you most. Which one do you already have? Remember, it's not about fear. It's about being ready when others aren't. Stay sharp. Stay stocked. Stay smart. This is survival done right.